I'm here with Kip Tindell, founder and CEO of the Container Store, and we just had the privilege of having him speak at the Open Air Conference here in Dallas for the ICSC. And he's been so generous as to allow us to interview him today and talk a little about the retail industry, the retail development industry, and wherever else it might go. So thank you very much. So I thought we'd start by you giving us the elevator pitch on the Container Store, what it is today, and what it is y'all do.
Well, I mean, what we really do is we give our customers the promise of an organized life, and I think that's really a substantial benefit to everybody. Somehow, when we started the business in 1978, and I apologize for my cold here, but we had some inkling that people would be short of time and space, but we had no idea that people would be as multitasking and short of time as we all are today. I think that's been it's been a great tailwind to our business. A little bit like, conscious eating has been a tailwind to the Whole Foods business. So we do that in a very conscious capitalist way, in accordance with the foundation principles that the Container Store is based upon, that are identical really to the tenets of conscious capitalism. And so we're big advocates of that. I think it leads to engagement on the part of employees. People join the business and they never leave. We have 10% turnover with employees in an industry that has over 100%.
Wow.
The vendor relationships between the Container Store and our vendors is one of my favorite things, where you're really creating decades-long win-win synergistic relationships.
So I know people will be interested in that, in the more mundane stuff. So how many stores today, revenues, it's fun for you to get to share your historic revenue growth. Give us some of those stats.
We still only have 70 stores. We started with one in 1978. But we've never counted growth by quantity of store locations. We have still grown since inception at a compounded annual growth rate of 23%, actually a little over 23%,
wow.
Which everybody tells me that there's nobody else, no other retailer that's grown more than 20% a year for more than 20 years. So people,
nor any other sort of business. That's a great stat.
It's a complicated business. We sell solutions rather than items. So you don't want that RPM needle to get into the red.
Next, you've already mentioned conscious capitalism, so I'd like to give you an opportunity. That's actually how Kip and I met, is through conscious capitalism at their CEO summits. I'm familiar, but if you'd help our audience become more familiar with conscious capitalism and how you got involved, that'd be great.
Well, I'm very passionate about conscious capitalism. I really think it's the best way to operate a business. I think it's the most profitable way to operate a business. It's certainly the way to operate a business that does the world and all of the stakeholders the most good. Raj Sisodia, who co-wrote the book with John Mackey, the Whole Foods guy, the other Whole Foods guy. The book is Conscious Capitalism, and Raj did a study. He looked at all of the largest conscious capitalist companies that were publicly traded. Southwest Airlines is a great example. Herb Kelleher has always espoused these theories. Herb told me like 35 years ago that you can build a better business on love than you can fear. And I went, who is this guy? That
was kind of weird at the time.
Nobody was talking that way 35 years ago. And then Jim Senegal at Costco, another great example of it. He pays his people about double what his nearest competitor does. And on a store-by-store basis, they do better.
Way more business.
Yeah. And so Raj looked at all of the publicly traded companies, and he looked at their returns over the last 15 years. And what he discovered is that conscious capitalist companies outperformed the S&P index 14 to 1. 14 to 1, I mean, that's stunning. It's not 20 or 40% more, it's 1,400% better. So
that's really incredible.
It's not just altruism. I mean, you really are doing better for your business while you're doing better for the stakeholders and while you're doing better for the world. we believe if you really and truly take better care of the employee than anybody else, and I mean really take better care of her than anybody else, then she's going to take better care of the customer than anybody else. And if those two people are ecstatic, your shareholder's going to be ecstatic. But if you just myopically focus on the shareholder, as so many people are taught to do in business school and whatnot, the magic is rarely there. And you know, the employees aren't happy, the customers aren't happy, and the shareholders aren't happy either. So the important thing to understand about conscious capitalism is that it works.
Last year, you agitated a little, and you were quoted as saying that American retail is in a funk. So I was wondering if you could elaborate on that. Do you think we're still in a retail funk today? And if so, you know, what are the causes